Hi, my name's JB Wagner, and I'd like to welcome you to my channel, Unconventional Wisdom. Today I'm going to be talking about using accessory optical viewfinders on compact digital cameras so that you can have, at a budget price, a Leica type experience. So I like to jump right to the conclusion. Does it make any sense to use optical viewfinders on your digital camera, a camera you might acquire? And my answer is a resounding yes. I'm a little surprised that no manufacturer is specializing in making these types of finders. TT Artisan has two that they actually make new, and then I think Voigtlander has some they still may be manufactured at a very high price. But some of these you're going to have to buy used on eBay. So there's a little bit of a search involved, and you have to do the math to match up your viewfinder with your camera and your lens, with your sensor and your lens. So let's get started first with the Olympus VF-1 optical viewfinder. This viewfinder, it's beautifully made. It can be used with any camera. It doesn't matter if it's Olympus. It's designed for 17mm lens for micro four thirds. That's what the bright lines in the viewfinder show for composition, is 17mm, which is the same as 34mm or 35mm full frame. Now on this wonderful Canon M6 Mark II, which is an APS-C sensor, it works great with Canon's excellent 22mm lens. So you have a perfect pairing here. You have an incredibly compact arrangement. So this is a 32 megapixel camera with superior autofocus. So if you have your depth of field set appropriately, you can point and shoot and get superb results and shoot fast. This camera can shoot very fast. Now, there is an accessory digital viewfinder, electronic viewfinder for this camera, which I own, and it's very good, but it's a different experience. And the Olympus only cost me $60 in perfect condition out of Japan on eBay. So I like having both of these viewfinders depending on the particular purpose. Now, you may want to use it with a lens like this, an 11 to 22mm, in which case you would simply set the lens at 22mm. The difference is you can see the barrel length, and with a barrel length this long, it does start to protrude into the viewfinder image area. So keep that in mind. When you do have a zoom like this, if you have other optical viewfinders with a different field of view, you can set the zoom accordingly. So once you get into something like the Sigma 16mm 1.4 with a lens that big, then you're really out of business, because the lens is so long and large, it projects too much into the optical viewfinder field of view. You're much better off with the electronic viewfinder in that instance. Okay, the company that is actually making, oh, by the way, just the last thing on the Olympus, if you use the entire field of view, not just the frameline field of view, it actually works well with Olympus's 14mm lens, but it's designed with the frame lines for their 17mm lens. Okay, so speaking of the 14mm, here's an EP Pen 5 or E-Pen 5, great little camera. 14mm lens, 28mm viewfinder, full frame. This is from TT Artisans. I'll have links below for this. And they also have a 21mm. This is brand new. It sells at a very reasonable price. I believe it's under $40 or in that range. The one thing I don't like about it is it does not have bright lines. It just has the, and it's kind of circular, the framing, as opposed to the rectangular. So it works, but It's not as precise, but it is new and it is reasonably priced. Now here we have, oh, and by the way, I will be interleaving some photos I took with this camera, the GX1, during the course of this video. And I shot with the 12mm Olympus, which is equivalent full frame to 24, and I used a Lumix 24mm optical viewfinder. This is a beautiful optical viewfinder. I don't know what they made it for originally. They're available on eBay, but they're hard to get, and this runs more like $120. But it is really well made and very nice to view with, and goes great with a 12mm lens or 24mm full frame or whatever the APS-C equivalent is. This is a great viewfinder. Now, there are more viewfinders made by companies like Voigtlander, and they may be used. Maybe they make some new ones, and then Zeiss, there's used ones, and there's used lights, Leica. They're all really expensive. I mean, you can spend, this camera you can buy used, and I have a video about it, for about $150. So are you really going to spend like $350 on an optical viewfinder? Depends on the camera you have, I guess, and your passion for optical viewfinders. Now, last and least are these little plastic viewfinders out of China on eBay. They have a wide variety of angles of view, but they are, compared to these others, a very diminished experience. It's not fun to me to compose with these. They're not bright, they're warped, they don't have any bright lines. I mean, they can get a job done for a super low price, and if you don't care about the experience and the compositional experience, then these would be okay. But I don't recommend them and won't be buying any more. I just bought them for this video. So that's maybe a few tips to get you started so that you can enjoy a rangefinder / optical viewfinder experience at a very reasonable price on an appropriate camera. Now, you could use these on cameras that have the traditional hump mirror or even the mirrorless with it on top in the flash view, but I mean, it's kind of awkward to me. It obviously fits perfectly with a camera like this, and the beauty of these cameras too, obviously, is you can still compose on the screen on the back. So you still have two modalities for composition, either the optical viewfinder and when you're out in bright light, looking at one of these screens on the back can be really challenging. So all of a sudden you can frame really accurately. There's no parallax compensation for close-ups, and there's nothing in the viewfinder that has anything to do with focusing like on a traditional film rangefinder where you have a split image that you bring together. But all of these have such good autofocus that if you set your depth of field correctly, you're really not going to have a problem. I mean, you're going to get sharp images, and you won't have to worry about it. So I hope this is interesting and helpful to you, and thanks for watching.